equally a matter of great intrigue, and this is in the state of Karnataka. Karnataka Seer Shivamurthy Murugha Sharanaru, who was released after questioning by the police. This comes after the Mysore police registered a case under the POCSO Act, the Prevention of Child Sexual Abuse, against him, as well as 4 others in connection with allegations that were made by 2 minor girls that they were sexually harassed by this seer for a number of years at his mutt in Chitradurga. The seer, although has claimed innocence, he addressed the media right after his quizzing by the police. He claimed that this was a big conspiracy against him, and he has said that the truth will be revealed soon. So what exactly is the truth of Shivamurthy Murugha? We will take this to our guests in just a bit, but first the story so far.
The prominent Lingayat mutt in Karnataka is under scanner for sexual assault on minors. 2 minor girls have now alleged Shivamurthy has sexually assaulted them for over 3.5 years.
All right, Priya Chetty Rajgopal is a citizen of Mysore and a citizens activist. Also, Sumansi Raman, political analyst, joining us. Priya, let me start with you first. The allegations first came to light over the weekend, where I believe that at least 2 minor girls, through their parents, approached an NGO, and it was the NGO which went and then lodged this complaint against Mr. Sharanaru. The question that's being asked is, how was this allowed to go for so long? In one case, I believe it went on for over 3 years. In the other case, for over a year. How did this happen? And that too inside the mutt, where there are other people, other individuals. How was this allowed to happen for such a long time?
It's obviously a terrible thing that has happened, and I think there is additional, disgust, shame, fear, anger, outrage when it happens to somebody who's supposed to be a seer of a mutt or a holy person. I would obviously just, preempt that by saying alleged, because as of now, I think the case is under investigation, so we don't know. But being that as it may, whether it is correct or not, the fact is more and more cases like this are coming to light. And this is almost like par for the course. It's every single large, institution or, this kind of godman cult seems to generate this kind of activity or this kind of, misuse of power. So 3 or 4 things that come to my mind is I'm glad that somebody has stepped up and confronted this and filed a case, because you can imagine it must have been, if it is indeed proved true, it must have been going on for quite some time, before these young women have stepped up. The few points that I would like to mention is, there's additional responsibility when someone is in a position of power, whether religion, political, or academic, to be especially careful about their stance and about, influencing very young minds and their psyche like this. I mean, it's complete abuse of power. The position of influence cannot be misused like this, and this is a very cliched thing to say, but it needs to be said. Religion and sexual exploitation seems to be going hand in hand for such a long time. I'm surprised it's not more under the scanner from a preventive point of view.
Okay.
I think now, and I do not want to get prescriptive, but I think we really need to have better controls and monitoring of, institutions which are either led by religious or political figures, where there's a large amount of corpus. There is a genuine attempt to focus on education or improvement or whatever, but very, easily exploitable, young children are there need special attention to make sure that doesn't happen again.
So, Sumansi Raman, one thing that I think Priya has a great point. Something needs to be said or done about the fact that we are seeing this increasingly happen in religious places, places of worship, places of cult of god, men or women. We've seen what happened in the Nityananda case, in the Asaram Bapu case, even for that matter in the Franco Molecule case. how is it that under the guise of religion, these kinds of things are going on, and that too for such a long period of time? Is it that there's nobody for oversight there? Is it that these people are above the law? Surely that can't be the case.
Zaka, I don't think that such incidents are of recent origin. They probably have been happening from time immemorial. It is good in a way that more cases are coming out because it allows us to sort of address this issue and try to take preventive action. So I don't think that, whoever these quote unquote godmen are, not referring to this particular case because it's still under investigation, but whichever cases, whenever such cases come up, I don't think that this is a recent phenomena. The fact that more and more people who are actually having the courage to speak up now is a good thing. And very importantly, I think we also need to consider that the environment that we create is, every time these cases come out, there is a little bit of outrage for a few days, and then we move on to the next story. Correct. And until the next case comes out. So no corrective steps which are, preventive are actually being launched. So every year or 2 years, there is some outrage, and then we go back to business as usual. So in this particular case, one only hopes that there will be a fair investigation. And that is, the concern is because this is an influential mutt. It comes under a particular community that has tremendous clout in Karnataka to influence electoral politics. And therefore, one has to, even you saw even the chief minister was extremely cautious in his statement today, where he sort of said, investigation is going on, I don't want to say anything, and so on. And the opposition, in fact, Mr. D.K. Shivakumar actually came out, more or less in support of the Swamiji. So I think that we need to be concerned whether the investigation would be a fair investigation. But one certainly hopes that it would be fair because, abuse of children has to be beyond politics, beyond any kind of
it has to be unacceptable
affiliation.
In a civilized society. And I think I want to take that point again with Priya. What is ironic, and maybe it's time to the elections, I don't know, but it's ironic that none of the mainstream parties, the three main parties in Karnataka, whether it's BJP, Congress, or even JDS for that matter, have come and outright supported the victims here. You would imagine that in such a case, and yes, the allegations are yet to be proved, but in such a case, because of just the shocking nature of what we are hearing, that any political party would want to be seen with the side of the victims unabashedly. But none of them have taken a position, whether it's in BJP, Congress. In fact, some politicians have actually come forth and even given a clean chit to this gentleman.
Yes, I think this has been, again, a motive that keeps happening because this is a huge vote bank. This is a huge position of influence. So this does tend to happen, and it disappoints me, but it doesn't surprise me. And as I said, all of these are still allegations. And please note, there are two things that are an interesting developments, which is now there's a counter complaint against the administration officer, which is, I think, Mr. Basavarajan or Dr. Basavarajan, who is supposed to have instigated this complaint against the seer. So you can see it's already started going back and forth in a slightly more dramatic way to take away the focus on the real issue, etc. So this is the sad thing. Somewhere we're going to forget children, and I'm sure that these are not the only people. Few things that I do want to be able to say that yes, I think it's sad that the government has not come or is so cautious about it, but maybe for good reason. As you said, it's still alleged. So, but the focus on supporting the victims, or to be able to say, hey, listen, this is unacceptable. We are investigating, but let us give all support to these children, and it's not been done. But I have three things that I do want. What all of these are primarily pushed very much because there's a very strong funding. There's a corpus. So there's a lot at stake here. There are people who want to be there. People who have a lot of power because there's money and there's stuff that needs to be, spent. So that